Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Wellness Farmer podcast where your health is our focus. I take what has become too complex and help you by simply focusing on where health is found inside of you. How do we empower ourselves to feel our best? With chiropractic care, eating nutrient dense food grown on fertile soil without chemicals, adequate movement, and natural internal dialogue. On this podcast, I put emphasis on growing your own food and storing it using the permaculture modern survivalism lifestyles. But on today's episode 198, I'm going to talk about something just a little bit differently, but super important. I'm going to talk about the things that we are putting off are almost always the things that we should be doing now, and how we can start doing them today. So this has so much to do with your health. We have to put our health where it should be, front and center. There are things we know we need to be doing to take full advantage of our short time we have here on earth. And without health, the rest just can't happen. So put things front and center. Put first things first. How I always tell my kids from that neat book from Stephen Covey's son. Well, today is September 25th, 2018, and I'm Ben Page, your host, and hopefully we are getting stuff done because where I'm at, it's actually spring. We are in springtime, and I can definitely feel it. And everyone else, well, everyone up in the northern hemisphere, you're in fall and you're getting your last preparations for the winter, I imagine, ready, and hopefully it's going to be a great winter when it comes. Just a couple things before I get into the main topic, though. There's a couple ways to stay in contact with me. One, Instagram. My name is Ben Page DC, where I share a lot of other things. I also am on Facebook, Pastos Verdes Farms. Another way to stay in contact with me. Go like my page, and with Facebook, go follow me so we can stay in more in contact, and you can see a lot more of what I'm doing. I also started a YouTube series, so I'm actually filming kind of my adventures in gardening in a very, very small area here in the city, and hopefully will eventually expand and be able to grow a lot more. But at the moment, I'm basically growing just a little bit of my food, but I'm growing some of my food, and we're enjoying it today. I actually have been eating arugula, lettuce, and I've been eating arugula flowers. I've been eating Swiss chard. So I've been eating some things from my own garden, even though it's small, but I am eating some of my own food that I grow from seed. So really neat stuff. You can follow me on YouTube as Pastos Verdes Farm also. So don't miss an episode. Go to YouTube and also like my page and subscribe so you don't ever miss an episode. A couple of things to help me out. If you haven't bought my book yet, The 4 Pillars of Health, it's a great philosophy of how you can involve certain lifestyles in your life to reach your health potential. So go to Amazon.com and order your copy. And don't forget all your loved ones because they also need to reach their health potential too. So don't forget about them. I'd say that probably the best way you can support me if you're getting anything out of this podcast is by using Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com or my website, pastosvertesfarm.com, and there's a button in the right-hand corner, well, on the right side of the page, which is Patreon. It takes you there, and it actually explains how you can kind of support me. If you're getting any value out of this podcast, you can support me. And not only that, I mean, if you're getting value out of the videos, if you're getting value out of anything that I'm putting out there, hopefully you can bring just a little bit back and support me in that. And the best way to do it is through Patreon. And if you want one-on-one help, don't forget, I am here to help you. I am here to help you reach your health potential. So you can go to my webpage, Pastos Verdes Farm, and send me an email, and we can talk about how I can help you reach your health potential, because I know you can feel better. Even if you feel your best, you can feel better. All right, so let's get into the main topic. So let's see. I woke up this morning thinking that it sure would be nice just to lay back in bed and relax. So what gets me out of bed? What gets me doing what needs to be done? I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it is because I just have a patient at a certain hour, and if I don't get up and get ready, I won't be ready for the patient, and that would be bad. And that is some of my mornings. It's the patient that really gets me out of the bed. It's not that burning desire to take on another day. It's not that awesome will and that great feeling of I got something awesome to do today. Some days I would just prefer to stay in bed and chill. I imagine we're all in the same boat here, and we don't always have these great days, and sometimes you just don't. You just rather stay in bed. So a lot of people they would tell me, or I would tell them, well, what you need is a routine. So what you need is a routine. That's the answer to a lot of things. To be able to maintain an exercise schedule, or to be able to make your days more productive. And they're probably right for a lot of people. They're probably right for the majority of people. They might be wrong for others. A routine. So is the routine the answer for everybody? I don't think so. There are people that thrive with routine, yes, but there are also others that have a really hard time with routine. And when these people fail at keeping a routine, they start to feel like they're failing in something and are not good enough, and they can begin to second guess their effectiveness, and really the whole plan in the first place just doesn't even come to fruition. It doesn't even take place. So there are those who thrive with a routine, but then there are those that are spontaneous. The spontaneous people that feel like a routine prevents them. It doesn't let them be free to experience life as life unfolds. So we need to first figure out, what do we prefer? What do we prefer? Do we prefer a routine, or are we more spontaneous? And once we figure out who we truly are, then what we need to recognize are the things that we are putting off are almost always the things that we should be doing now. That could be making the important call to changing our eating lifestyle, to starting to move more, starting to give your body the adequate movement it deserves. Of course, if you haven't moved adequately for years, you don't start day one with adequate movement, because it's going to be impossible, and you'll probably hurt yourself. So you need to start slow. So how much movement, going to the whole movement thing, how much movement do you actually need? Well, if you're sitting behind a desk or in a car driving around most of the day, I'm talking about 45 minutes a day of rigorous movement. That's what our bodies need. And our bodies need it. Our bodies, for us to be who we truly are, we must be moving. And if we have a sedentary lifestyle due to work or other circumstances, we have to move rigorously for at least 45 minutes a day. That's what our bodies need. But if you're moving around all day, if you're doing work that has to do with movement, we don't need to move around 45 minutes a day rigorously. You don't need to break up a sweat and really move every day. It could be every other day or every third day. But if you're not, make sure you're moving rigorously every at least 5 days of work. But over time, like I said, it doesn't start from one day to the next, but you can return to have this adequate movement in your lifestyle, to move sufficiently to give your body what it needs to truly be healthy. And it takes time, but with time, everything heals, even the sedentary lifestyle that most people are experiencing today. So there are many ways of moving rigorously. It just doesn't mean running or getting on or doing some strenuous cardiovascular exercise. Lifting weights is also a great way. And it doesn't mean you have to join a gym to actually go lift weights. I'll just let you know my example. So my example, what I've been doing lately is something new. I just started a couple weeks back, but I actually use goalposts. So we play soccer. I try to play soccer every week with a bunch of guys, and the goalposts are actually built. So we have two posts and then the part on top, which is quite long, and we hook the top part into the goalposts. Well, that long part on the top, that part of the goalpost on the top that's really long, is actually quite heavy. I couldn't say how heavy it truly is, but with a lot of movement, actually, it's a great weight. So what I've been doing is I've been usually lifting weights, doing cleans. If you don't know what those are, we could talk about that. But doing different types of exercising using these goalposts as my weights. So there's tons of ways we can figure to lift weight and put weight against our muscles and our bones to make them stronger. And that's just one example. That's an example that I am actually doing at the time. So who are you? Do you like routines, or do they make you feel trapped? Or are you more of a spontaneous type of person? Or are you a little of both? It's funny. I usually talk about these things in the two different sides, and I'm almost always in the middle. I'm kind of in the middle of this personalities types, and I can live with routine, and I do pretty good with routine, but I also like to be spontaneous. I don't know if that's normal or if I'm the abnormal person. What are you guys? Are you the people listening? I mean, are you kind of always in the middle, or do you prefer only a routine, or do you prefer to be spontaneous? Let me know, because it seems like usually I'm always in the middle of these two types of personalities. So all right, so how can we get those activities that just aren't getting done, like moving more? And again, most people are going to say, well, try and make a routine. But what happens if you're that spontaneous type of person? You're going to go into something losing because you know it just won't work. So, but there's a couple of ways that the spontaneous person can actually work this into his life, and it's called time blocking. Time blocking is a way that the spontaneous person can kind of put routine into their lives. So it's been shown that the spontaneous person actually works really good against deadlines. So instead of saying I will do this at this time, and it has to be this that I'm going to be doing, so scheduling very specific things into your schedule, you say, well, in the morning or from 8 to 10, I'm going to work on my health. The afternoon is going to be for working on this project, and at night, I'm going to work on getting back to the people I need to get back to in contact with. So it's not you're not putting specific things that you need to be doing. You're actually giving yourself a time to do something. So there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing specific that needs to be done. It's just from 8 to 10, you can be as spontaneous as you want to be to work on you, work on your health. Because again, if we don't have health, we are lost. I just had to get that in real quick. I mean, if we don't have health, we are lost. So back to what I said at the beginning, we need to recognize that the things that we are putting off are almost always the things that we need to be doing now. So for the spontaneous person, what this does is it gives you freedom, but inside of a time frame. If you're just starting to move again, like I said, it's the spontaneous act between 8 and 10, that time block could actually be one squat, one push-up, or a 15-second plank. But you're starting on that one thing that's got to be put front and center, that one thing you've been putting off that we know is important, and we got to do it. So we do it now. We are doing what we need to be doing, and it can start with just one push-up, one squat, one 15-second plank. I don't remember who said it, but I think I heard it on the Tim Ferriss show that one of his guests was in great shape at the moment, and he was definitely moving adequately. He said he started off with just one push-up a day. He said he would get out of bed, and the first thing he did was do one push-up. That later inspired him to do two. That later inspired him to do three, until he just began to move and move and move, and now he moves adequately. He gives his body the amount of movement that it needs to truly be healthy. So it starts with one thing at a time. And if that time block from 8 to 10 is only one push-up, or if it's only one squat, that's where you start. It doesn't matter if you like the routine or not. It doesn't matter, because now you can start. We can get over that hump, make that specific routine, or make a time block where you have freedom to do what you know what needs to be done. So let's talk a little bit about how we can increase the likelihood of making sure we get those things done that just kind of sit on the back burner, but we know they need to get done. like moving adequately. So even if you say you don't like to exercise, that is, there's even a way around that too. So by completely completely diving into the activity, what you are doing, that means concentrating your five senses on what you're doing. Be in that moment. It's almost impossible to enjoy what you're doing. It doesn't even matter if it's rigorous. If you are in the moment, if you're not thinking about finishing, if you're not thinking about the next exercise, if you're not thinking about anything but being in that moment and focusing on that moment with your five senses, it's almost impossible not to enjoy the moment. Because when we're in the moment, we're happy. If you stick to the moment, you will be happy because there's absolutely nothing to bring you down in this moment. So if you can stick to the moment while you're doing this exercise that supposedly you don't like or you don't feel comfortable doing, you will enjoy it. And over time, it actually becomes truly enjoyable. But you have to start with being in the moment. And as you work hard, things just become easier and easier and easier. So they say good things come when you work hard, and great things come when you work really hard. So if you want to be great at doing it, well, you need to invest. You need to work really hard. If you just want to be good, well, you need just to work. But I know we all in this community want to do great jobs. So work hard, but start doing what you know needs to be done. Here's other two ways to help us on this journey of making movement a lifestyle, something that brings happiness into our lives, not because it's something that we know we have to do, but because it's great for us, and we know it's great for us, so it just makes us feel great. First, one way to start off is by actually logging your activity, writing things down. Keep a record of what you do, of the things that you're actually doing. And the main reason is to actually help you see your progress. So writing things down helps us commit, first of all, and it actually makes you accountable too. We'll talk a little bit about being accountable just a little later for the second thing, but it actually helps us stay accountable for what we're doing. And even better, it gives you something to stay encouraged about. You look back and you see, wow, look at all the progress I've had. So a lot of times we don't feel the progress, but if we write it down, we can see it on paper, and it's like, wow, I've actually made a lot more progress than I thought. So recording ways is a great way to keep up with it too. And the second way, probably one of the better ways, is actually form a community. So have others rooting for you, supporting you, keep us motivated. This can be people in a community that lives around you, or not. It doesn't have to be around you. It can be an online community just as well. But find a community, or make your own community. Make a WhatsApp group where you guys can keep each other accountable, motivated, and accountable. That's another great way. So those are two great ways to also stay motivated or do those things that you know need to be done even though you're not doing them. Because like I said at the beginning, those are probably the things that you need to be doing now. So even for the people that seem to have it all down, there's going to be times where you're going to have to miss a day. So maybe you fall out of your groove because you get sick, or you have to leave town for a couple of days and you can't keep it up while you're out of town, or anything can take us out of the groove. Those are just two examples. But when we have to come back slowly into it. So you don't want to start off from, if you had to take the leave, if you left for 2 weeks, you don't want to start from where you left off 2 weeks ago. Again, take it slow to get back into it. That's what we have to do. So you won't start off where you just left off. You have to cut back just a little bit to get back into it, but don't focus on that hard part. The whole I gotta move. No, focus on how you're going to feel after you're done. Even though you're starting again, you had to go back just a little bit because you had to take some time off because of something sick or had to leave town. But the great part is focusing on how you're going to feel afterwards. And not just how you're going to feel, but the accomplishment of finally getting it done. Focus on that. Focus on that. If you're having a hard time focusing on the moment, focus on how you're going to feel after you're done. I'm going to be in it, and even if it hurts, you've accomplished something, and it's something that's hard, and it's great to be able to accomplish things that are hard. It brings you up, and that's what keeps you motivated. So first, figure out who you are. What type of person are you? Do you like routines or not? Then start. Start small and moving adequately. I mean, one squat, one push-up, one 15-second plank a day just to get started. So who doesn't have time to do at least that? And of course, that's just the starting point, but start small. At the same time, I'll just put it out there, you really want to make the change now. Just go for it. If you want help figuring out a plan, get in touch with me and I will help you. We can figure out where a good starting point would be for you and get you on your way. But then record the progress somehow. Put it on paper, pencil, on a computer. Some app that you download. Record it. And also start a community or get into a community that's going to push you, and that's going to keep you motivated and keep you accountable for those things that we know we need to get done, but we're not doing it. Man, I'm loving it. Hopefully this gets you up off the couch. Hopefully this gets you doing things that you know need to get done. Those things that have been bothering you for some time. Those things that you have been avoiding. So if you like this episode, share it with your friends and family. And if you got 5 minutes, you know what I'd love and I would totally appreciate if you would go to iTunes and you actually rated this podcast. And if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, make sure you subscribe to it. But give it an honest review. The more reviews, the better. And I read every one of them. The ones that I have, I've read each and every one of them, and I'm so grateful for them. It's probably one of the reasons why I keep on doing this, because you guys keep me motivated. So this is my community, and that's what's keeping me motivated to keep bringing this content to you. So let's keep it real and continue to live our lives just a little better. And how do you do that? Of course, we do that one episode at a time.